and mental health is something that we don't talk about enough. In the black community, we're massively overrepresented in the mental health institutions, even more so than in the prisons. And again, these are questions we have to ask. Well, why?
But once you get a control and an understanding of who you are, no one can use you against you. No one can ever use your mental illness against you. You've already spoke about it, so what you got?
The biggest point in life to resolve mental health is like giving a fuck about a person.
Where did you get the courage? I got the courage. The 2 words. I care.
It's Chill Will Radio, where connections will be made, advice will be given, jokes will be told, and things will get real. My name is Willis Cooks, and I'm your host. But understand this show is not meant to be used as a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. Enjoy the show, y'all. And I am back. I am back on the show, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, fellas and ladies, males and females, and all that extra stuff. I am back. Willis Cooks is back. Welcome to episode number 24. This should be number 25, but it's really episode 24 of Chill Will Radio, because I was not here last week. And I shall get into that. But before that, welcome everyone. Welcome to Chill Will Radio, where we're talking all things mental health for the black community. All things mental health, shit, for any community, really, at the end of the day, man, because my mental health is just as important as Hispanics' mental health, Latina has mental health, a white person's mental health, Asian person's mental health, whatever. Your mental health is important regardless of race, shape, all that other stuff. Yeah, literally. But welcome. We're speaking all things mental health, the good, the bad, the ugly, the not so ugly, the things we should be talking about, the taboo, and all of that reckless stuff, right? So welcome to Chill World Radio, man. Here we're speaking about anger. We're building up our anger. Why do we build up our anger? How does it come out? Some ways to allow it to release, the good, the bad, all that stuff when it comes to anger, man. First and foremost, so thank you to everyone that's tuning in. Thank you to everyone that will be tuning in halfway through the show, because you got some stuff going on. You're probably watching college basketball, man. Shouts out to my bracket. Y'all looking really, really good, man. All those teams that I wanted to win, y'all looking really, really good so far. I don't have Duke winning the national championship. I got Gonzaga winning the national championship, but shouts out to that. Duke is going to lose to Gonzaga in the near future. But shouts out to my bracket. Shouts out to those individuals who will be tuning in tomorrow, later on today, next month, next year, whenever you're going to be tuning in. Shouts out to you. And even more so, shouts out to all of those individuals who will not be tuning in at all. You may not be tuning in to this episode. You may not tune in to this show, but you will catch on eventually. So big shouts out to you, man. As always, man, if you're listening, let me know that you're here, man. You ain't got to say much. Just say, what's the deal? What's popping? I always want to acknowledge those individuals who are listening in to the show. So welcome to Chill Will Radio, man. It is glad to be here again. I'm glad to be back, man. I was out last week. I was sick. I never get sick, but when I do get sick, I feel like ass. And last week I know exactly why I got sick. This is weird. Hopefully some people will be able to understand, but I did not sleep with socks on that Saturday night. Yes, I did not sleep with socks on that Saturday night. So whenever I don't sleep with socks, I immediately get sick the very next day. It's weird to some folks, but it completely makes sense to me, right? I get sick through my feet, right? When our limbs are cold, right? When my limbs are cold, particularly my feet, I get sick. So that next day, all at work, I was just moving slow. I had a headache. I was coughing. My throat was a little dry. I was just all fucked up. But then the next day, I felt better. That Tuesday, I was good to go, right? So it didn't last long, but I slept without socks, and that's why I wasn't here last week. So I'm sorry for being absent to all those individuals who were tuning in or expecting to tune in, but I'm back this week. Outside of that, I've been fine. I've been really, really good. One of the things that I wanted to mention last week that I'm going to mention this week is the fact that I now understand how it feels to be an adult. The fact that I now understand how it feels to be an adult. And that is because I owe the motherfucking IRS. I owe the IRS. I've never in life had to owe them people anything. Probably like $100 or something like that. I think I owe like Cleveland probably like $500 or something, but I'm never going to pay them because I'm never going to live in that state again, so they can just forget about that. But I owe the IRS, and I owe them a little over $3,000. I think I owe California like $8,000, and I owe the rest to like federal. And I was hurt, yo. I know I was sick last Sunday, but when I got them numbers back in the tax later, like, yo, you owe XYZ because of XYZ, I was like, no. Now I really have to work all day, every day. Now I really have to super budget. I really have to do everything I have to do to make sure, because they want their money now, right? They want their money now. They don't want none of this stuff. So I got to pay them. And it's like, shit, one of the first things that I thought in my head, like, fuck, where the hell is this money going? Right? Where is this money going? Why am I continue to pay? Why do I have to pay this $3,000? Right? Where's my money going? Because apparently it's not going nowhere. Right? Am I going to continue to pay taxes for us to get beat up by the police? Am I going to continue to pay taxes for our schools to be like shit? Am I going to continue to pay taxes so these teachers could get paid, low wages? Am I going to continue to pay taxes so it's so it could continue to be a high rate of homelessness? Like, am I going to continue to pay all these taxes for nothing to happen? So my first thing was, you ain't getting shit. But then it's like, damn, they don't get their money. They're going to garnish my wages and take their money somehow. I don't want them getting into my check as much as they already do. And blah, blah. So it's like, let me just do it. So, sucks. So, shouts out to all those individuals who ain't got to pay nothing back. Shouts out to all those individuals who don't have to pay nothing back. And it's at this point, man, I told a coworker how much I owe, and she was like, well, I guess you need to start planning to have a kid. Because if you had a kid, none of this shit would be happening. I'm like, yo, you right. I see. So next year, I need a kid, y'all. I ain't going to have a kid. Who trying to sell their kid to me? Because essentially, that's what it really is. Selling kids and shit so they won't have to pay nothing. And that's the thing. People be trying to, like, it's a goal to get something back. No, the aim is to not owe anything, right? The aim is to not owe anything. If you get a refund, great. But if you don't have to owe shit, that's even better. I got to pay extra $3,000 and some change. And I got plans within the next few months. And now I got to be hella particular in how I spend my money. Like, shit, if it ain't going towards whatever, it can't come out my pocket. So I ain't got it. I'm broke. Even though I'm getting paid a good amount, I'm broke. Because IRS want their funds, and I guess they got to get it. But outside of that, I've been good, man. Man, I haven't posted anything on IG for like a good week or two or whatever, strictly because I just got tired of posting stuff on Instagram. So I was like, let me just stop. But I'll get back to that. So outside of that, everything is be good. So moving on to the main topic, not the main topic, but the self-care piece. The self-care piece. One of the things that we always, I believe, personally believe, especially kids, especially adults, everybody down there. One of the things that we need to be mindful of, one of the things that we have to, I believe, implement into our self-care regimen is to make sure whenever you feel angry, sad, happy, depressed, irritated, when your coworker is getting on your nerves and you're just at that last little bit of punching that person in the face or whatever, hit that fast forward button, right? The one thing I thoroughly recommend everybody to implement within their self-care regimen is to hit that fast forward button on life. Anything, right? Hit that fast forward button and see what's going to happen if I take part in this behavior. What's going to happen if I allow my anger to get the best of me. Hit that fast forward button and figure out what's going to happen if I allow my sadness and this depression and this anxiety or whatever to get the best of me. Right? Because there's always going to be a chain reaction. If I behave this way, that's going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. Right? Which is why it's so important sometimes to just stop and just breathe and just slow everything down, because we don't even be thinking when we're reacting. And that's the thing. Nobody knows really how to sit down and think. We only know how to react because reacting is easy. We don't know how to think. We don't really know how to explain our emotions. We don't really know how to process it. We all only know how to react. And if we understand that reacting sometimes isn't the best thing to, shit, damn near all the time, reacting to a situation so quickly isn't the best thing to do. So slow down, hit that fast forward button, right? And figure out where this situation will lead to. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're not thinking about what's going to happen within that near future, you're just going to allow life to take its course, right? And even though life is going to take its course regardless, you're not really going to have a influence on your behavior or on the things that happens around you. You want to try to be as mindful and try to control everything that's around you as much as possible. And so actually taking a seat back, chilling, and just sometimes if you in front of an irritating person, they're getting on your nerves, don't curse them out. Just look at them. Just look at them and just think, what's going to do if I knock you the fuck out right now? If I do, I might get fired. Or if I do, I might go to jail. Or if I do, I don't know, something's going to happen. Is it going to make me feel better? Yes. Temporarily. It's going to make me feel better. But in the long run, you know, we're going to start to get hit with those consequences. And we're all adults here. And when you understand that we have responsibilities, and any other little thing that could possibly get in our way to hinder those responsibilities or get in the way of those responsibilities, we have to start knocking them off. And the easy way to do that is to actually sit down and think, actually hit that fast forward button, right? Because I know for a fact, when it came to me, if I did not hit that fast forward button, and many times throughout my life, I would have been locked up. For a fact, I would have been locked up. It's been especially in college, it's been so many times to where in college, like I was this close, like an inch, half of an inch, less than an inch. What's smaller than an inch? A centimeter of an inch to getting locked up, you know, in a whole another state, you know, for time, right? Because a lot of the situations that I was doing, right? If I decided to take my behavior to Cleveland, right, and act the fool out there as if I was doing in Atlanta, I know for a fact I would have been facing time, right? So it's important to understand the behaviors in what you're doing. Acknowledge the behaviors in what you're doing. Realize the behaviors in what you're doing, because a lot of us don't even realize what we're doing until after the fact. A lot of us don't even realize how we're moving until after the fact, until life smacks you in the face. Then you be like, oh shit, I was moving bad this time. Have control over the things that you could possibly have control over. So that means you have to be able to know how to dictate your behavior in the midst of bullshit, right? Remaining as stoic as possible is a very beautiful thing. It's a very powerful thing. You know, when somebody's purposely calling you a bitch and they're all up in your face and you're just chilling, that's going to piss them the fuck off. They don't have to know what you're thinking. Hit that fast forward button and think about everything that could possibly happen. If it ain't aligned with the things that could possibly increase or improve your immediate future, cut it out. Don't react. You could be sitting there. Don't sit there and just think, man, this person's, you know, get on my nerves. I ain't no bitch. And that's the one thing I would think about, right? I would sit there and tell the person, like, well, in my head, I ain't no bitch. And you're not finna be sitting here in front of my face and blah, 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 blah. But sometimes I just really be thinking, if I hit you, that's going to happen. Then that's going to happen. Then that's going to happen. Sometimes when certain people begin on my nerves, I really be sitting there thinking, like counting my ABCs, saying my ABCs, right? Just so I can get my mind off of what's actually happening. Because we always have to understand, just because the person is angry at you, that doesn't mean that makes sense. Just because a person is angry, that doesn't mean they are personally taking their anger out on you. You're just the individual that is there. You're just the individual that is in the way, right? So before you react, understand that, and then hit that fast forward button so you can understand what could possibly happen within the near future if you do react. Because that is never, ever a beautiful sight, a beautiful thing. It will not end up on the good note if you just react. So, moving on forward into the main topic of the show today. The title of the episode is Let Anger Explode or something like that. I forgot. but it's let your anger explode. You know, we're talking about built up anger here, right? Why do we build up our anger? How does our how is our anger released after it's built up? You know, the ways in which we built it up, the ways in which the anger comes out, you know, how to release some of that anger, how to release some of these things, right? For me, shit, I know for a fact, and I'm working on that now. I'm thoroughly, like, every single day, I'm working on that now, and I'm trying to be mindful to not allow things to get built up within my life, right? Because in the past relationship with my ex-girlfriend, in a past relationship with other friends, and just in the past in general, I'm always that individual to think that I don't have to say anything about it now because I know I will get over it. I don't have to say anything about it now because I know I'm going to get over it. And I believe that I can get over anything. I'm the type of person that I feel in my head I can get over whatever, anything. So I don't need to really sit there and explain to you why I'm angry. I don't really need to sit there and talk to you about my anger. I don't really need to sit there and express my anger or process it, because if I just think about it for 2 seconds in my head, I'm good to go. And I never really was mindful of the fact of how our anger is sometimes just sitting within our unconscious mind, right? It's sitting in the back of our head, just chilling, collecting dust. And then one thing's come, we're going to hide that. Another thing come, we're going to hide that. Something else come, we're going to hide that. And then it's just stacking up on top of each other. And we're not mindful of how it's collecting. We're not mindful of how big it's growing. And then when it comes out, right? When it comes out, we don't even acknowledge the fact that, yo, I'm angry at you because of something that happened a year ago. I'm reacting this way because of something that happened a year ago, right? I know for me, one of the ways in which my anger sometimes comes out, one, I can get very, very quiet. Like, I believe I am the king at walking past someone as if you don't exist, right? I've done that so many times to so many people, and I've thoroughly understood that the lack of attention is the worst type of punishment for anybody, right? If you have a positive relationship with someone and something negative goes down, I understand that. If I just don't say nothing to you, or if I just don't look at you, that's going to hurt your soul. So I will get very, very petty, right? I will get very, very petty. But that's only if I allow that anger to be built up, right? Because I won't say nothing about it. You know, I'll start just holding things in. I won't say nothing. Oh, I'm good. I'm fine. You know, I'll start being petty, start saying slick shit, you know, start doing reckless stuff, you know, start looking for arguments, start looking for a fight, you know, and that's something that I would do, right? Why? Because it's just like, in my mind, right? In my mind, I sometimes feel as if I am less of a person, or less of a man, or less of a man if I tell someone I'm angry. If I tell someone that I'm feeling some type of way about this situation, right? Like, that happens a lot. That's my pride right there. And that's a lot of us, especially men. Our pride will get in the way of us actually voicing how we feel about a situation. Our pride will get in the way of us voicing our anger and processing it, because it's like, you know what? I ain't no bitch, and I shouldn't be mad at this, and I don't want you to know that your behavior is affecting me because I am impenetrable. You cannot penetrate this greatness right here. You know, especially me, I get too conceited and too cocky, and I just believe I can get over anything. So, everything that you're talking about is not going to affect me, right? But I've had to begin to understand that information, all of that anger, all of those things that I'm hiding and keeping away, it's stacking up. It's stacking up, and it's going to come out in many different ways, right? Some people, it comes out through violence. It comes out through certain outbursts, right? And when it comes out through those forms, we have to, one, be able to fully acknowledge where that anger is coming from. Because I had posted something a few minutes ago saying that, you know, don't be angry for so long that you forgot what you were angry at, right? And there's been plenty of times to where I've been angry for so long that I've actually forgot what was the purpose of being angry. Now I'm just angry off the fact that I'm being angry. And when we're already in that angry state, you're not going to calm me down, because I don't want to be calmed down. Let me calm down on my own. I don't want you to calm me down. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to figure out when I'm calm. I control my anger. This is the pride and ego thing in which we all just trying to figure out, right? Sometimes we are just so angry for so long that we don't know why we're even angry. And then we go back and realize that, like, yo, my behavior at that point was really fucking stupid. My behavior just really, really dumb. I really just kind of just blew everything out of proportion. Then I'm coming back, knocking on your door. I'm sorry, baby. Take me. Well, I ain't gonna do that. But some people will do that. Come back, knocking on the door. I apologize. I shouldn't have, cursed you out like this, or I shouldn't have done this. And we begin to regret our behavior. We begin to get very remorseful. We begin to get very guilty because of all of these things that's happening. And we're just like, eh. And then even sometimes we might just say, fuck it. Sometimes we might just say, well, it's better to just not deal with the situation at all. So I'm just going to ignore it. And ignoring that tension in the room, or ignoring those feelings and not acknowledging them, that's also a very negative thing to do. Because like I said earlier, us as men, and I'm sure this is the same thing with women, but I'm speaking from a man's perspective right now, but us as men, we don't want that other party to know that they have gotten to us. We don't want that other party to know that they have actually put a dent in our armor. So we're just always going to say that we're good. We're always going to say that, because I don't want you to know that you've affected me, because I am that guy, and I'm just going to keep it inside. And then that anger that I'm keeping inside is going to lead to hurt. That anger that I'm keeping inside is going to lead to abuse. That anger that I'm keeping inside is going to lead to infidelity. That anger that I'm keeping inside is going to lead to all of this other stuff. That anger that I'm keeping aside is going to cause me to be bad in school, cause me to fuck up at work, cause my relationships to fail, cause me to procrastinate, cause me to be lazy, cause me to be dirty, not clean up, not wash myself up, right? It's a bunch of different type of ways in which our anger could come out. And then also we have to understand that anger is not a negative emotion, right? I don't like it when I have this negative perception of anger management. I have this negative perception of anger management because for me, I don't believe that we should be able to control our anger or manage our anger, right? Anger isn't anything negative. We're trying to manage something that could possibly be negative. I don't want to manage my anger. It's about understanding how to utilize that anger, because at the end of the day, the anger is a primary emotion, like happiness, like being surprised, like guilt, like sadness. Anger is that primary emotion, but also anger is something that is there to protect how you're feeling. Anger is going to protect guilt. Anger is going to protect your insecurities. Anger is going to protect shame. Anger is going to protect disappointment. Anger is going to protect a lot of things, and we have to figure out what is our anger protecting. Because just because I'm angry at that does not necessarily mean that's what my original feeling is. Right? I could be sad at the fact that my girl had cheated on me. Thoroughly sad, and I'm hurt. So to hide me being hurt, I'm finna not fuck you up, but I'm finna curse you out. Or I'm finna go cheat on someone else. I'm finna be mad petty and just get back and get even and go cheat on someone else. Right? Because that anger is really protecting someone. Right? And also, if you're angry all the time, look at your relationship when it comes to being in control, right? A lot of us, we don't like it when we have control of anything. So when we don't have control of something, we begin to get angry. So that gives us the ability of being in control of that situation, right? I see that happening a lot with a lot of children, a lot of adolescents, especially at work. I'm angry. I mean, I can't control this situation. I can't control your behavior, and I can't get what I want. I can't get things that I'm going to do, so I'm going to throw a temper tantrum. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to say, fuck you. I'm going to say I'm thinking about killing myself when in reality I'm not. I'm going to do all of these things because I just want control of the situation, right? So when you're looking at anger, sometimes you're not angry just because of anger. You're angry probably because of disappointments. You're angry probably because of guilt. You're angry probably because of whatever. You also could be angry because you don't have control over the situation. So you being angry is allowing you to regain control over that situation, right? So look at your relationship with control when you're angry. Look at your relationship with everything when you're angry. right? So when it comes to actually releasing that anger, when it comes to actually understanding what steps you should take, right? Granted, everything is different for everybody. I can tell you one coping skill that may work for you, but it may be the worst coping skill for someone else. What works for me may not work for you, right? So just because I tell you these certain steps, one, don't do them in the order that I tell them. You can do them in any type of order. Two, if they don't work for you, they don't work for you. Don't fight. Don't continue to fight and try to do a coping skill when it's not meant for you, because it literally probably isn't meant for you, right? Some people probably aren't good at meditating, but some people probably don't like meditating, and that's fine. You don't have to meditate all the time. You don't have to do the formal sitting down and meditate. You don't have to do that. Figure out what's best for you. So when it comes to releasing that anger, one of the things that you always have to do when it comes to anger, first, I believe across the board, is just to identify that anger. Identify what you're angry at. Sometimes when you've been holding in that anger for months or years, it can be hard to identify the source of that anger. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to forget why you're angry in the first place. But deal with what's in front of you. I'm angry at this behavior that you're doing. Identify that, right? Identify what's going on. Identify what's in front of you. Identify that anger so you can know where to start. Sometimes when we're trying to figure out how to calm ourselves down, we don't have that starting place. We don't have that foundation. So identifying where to actually start when it comes to anger, identifying what you're angry at is the biggest thing, right? Once you identify it, my suggestion would be, and some people are going to say no, once you identify it, get angry, get mad, get pissed the fuck off, right? Because a lot of times what happens is we don't allow ourselves to feel that emotion, right? I'm very, very big on feeling whatever emotion it is, whether it's sadness, disappointment, guilt, remorse, happiness, feelings, whatever. Embody that emotion for that moment, because if you don't embody it, what you're going to do is you're going to hide it. Your first reaction is just to actually hide it. Embody it. Understand that emotion. Identify that anger, and then don't hold it in, but get angry. If your girl is pissing you off and you're mad, it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be pissed off, right? That's an emotion. It's never the emotion that's the issue. It's the way we utilize the emotion that's the issue. So if you're not allowing yourself to feel angry, if you're not allowing yourself to get angry, it's never going to come out. But once you're angry though, be mindful of how you're utilizing that anger, right? Because you could be angry. Somebody's going to say, oh, Willis told me to get angry, so I'm finna get angry and, I don't know, punch Didier in the face. So I'm finna get angry and punch my girl in the face. I ain't telling you to do that shit. I'm telling you to get angry. But be mindful of how you're utilizing that anger. If you're getting angry, you want to go outside and yell. Go yell. One of the things that a lot of the patients do at my hospital, they have like this anger wall in which they have like stones or clay or whatever the hell it is. They throw it at the wall. They release the anger. When I get very, very angry, going to the gym and lifting weights is the biggest and the best therapeutic method for me, because I'm just lifting weights. Like, I'm not even counting. I'm just, fuck that bitch one, fuck that bitch two, I hate you. Like, I'm just getting it off of my chest, right? However it is, get angry, but figure out how to utilize that anger, right? Another thing that you have to do, talk it out. You don't always have to talk it out to someone. Talk it out with yourself. Look in the mirror and talk to yourself. Be in your car and talk to yourself. Not in your head, but out loud. Say it out loud. All the time, that internal monologue is the most important thing. Because before you tell someone else something, you have to tell yourself that. Before you tell someone else the truth, you have to tell yourself the truth. Before you tell someone else a lie, you have to lie to yourself. So before you try to talk your anger out to someone, talk to yourself about it. Ask yourself those questions. Why am I mad? Is this even worth being mad at? Hit that fast forward button like I spoke about earlier. If I get mad at this situation, that's going to happen. And if that happens, then this is going to happen. And then all these other things are going to go on. Right? Because when we hold our anger in, we don't talk about it to no one. Right? We don't talk about it to no one and explore everything. Right? Don't just talk about it in the sense of, fuck you, I hate you, and blah, 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 I hate that bitch. No. Ask yourself the good and the bad question. Say, I hate you. Why did I hate you? I'm pissed at you right now. Why am I pissed at you right now? Okay, you did this, XYZ, but what did you do, Willis, to cause this to happen? Right? Because sometimes, a lot of the times, it is your reaction to the actual situation that's pissing you off, right? It is your reaction to the actual situation that's making it worse, right? Look at your behavior at the moment. Ask yourself, how did you behave this way? Why did you behave this way? How else could it have gone? You don't have to have these conversations with someone else. And I think a lot of the times we are so big on having that support system. We are so big on having that other individual that is there to talk things through. Yes. It is thoroughly important to have that other individual there to talk things through, because that other individual is going to help you look at things a little bit different. But sometimes that other individual isn't there all the time. Sometimes that other person is not there. Sometimes they physically can't be there. They may be at work. And then when that other individual at work, and when we rely on that person to talk about our situations, we get pissed because they're not able to answer my question or answer my problems when I want you to deal with my problems. That's a whole nother subject. That's codependence. But essentially, our reliance on someone else being there can sometimes be a bad thing, when we have to understand that internal monologue is the most important thing. So when it comes to anger and talking out your anger, it is thoroughly important that you talk it out with someone. But I believe it is even more important that you talk it out with yourself first. So identify that anger, figure out what you're mad at, figure out what's in front of you, because sometimes you can forget what's that thing you're angry at years ago or months ago or a week ago. So figure out what's in front of you. Second thing, get angry. Don't get angry and be like, fuck you, bitch, I'm finna fuck you up. But get angry, embody that anger, and figure out a productive way to utilize that anger, right? Whether it's through running, whether it's through going outside and screaming, whether it's through finding an anger wall or going outside, grabbing a bucket of ice and just throwing ice at the wall, whatever it is. Get angry and figure out a productive way to utilize that anger, right? Talk it out. You don't have to talk it out with the next person. You don't have to talk it out with your girl. Sometimes that individual isn't there. But talk it out with yourself first. Talk it out with yourself and ask yourself the positive and negative questions. You're obviously going to say, fuck that bitch. But also you need to ask yourself, why is it fuck that bitch? You're obviously going to say, oh, she did XYZ. But you also have to ask yourself, why did you do XYZ? You have to have these tough conversations with it, right? Another thing you have to go when it comes after you talk it out. Once you talk it out, you got to let it go. You have to let it go. You have to let it go, right? You 100% have to let it go, right? Nothing is necessarily stressful. Nothing necessarily makes us angry. It is, one, our relation to that situation, and then it is, two, how long we are holding on to that situation, right? Because this bottle of water that I'm holding in my hand, it is not heavy. But if I hold it in my hand for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, however long, then my arm is going to get weak, and then it is going to begin to get heavy, right? So however long we're holding on to the situation, that's how much weight and that's how hard and how heavy it is going to feel. You feel heavy because you got all of this stuff weighing down on you. You feel heavy because you're not allowing yourself to let it go, right? And that's why it's so important to talk it out. That's why it's so important to talk it out. That's why it's so important to get angry. That's why it's so important to identify what you're angry at. To give you that ability to release it. To give you that ability to let it go. Because if you're not giving yourself that time, it is always going to be there. Always going to be there. And we understand where it could possibly go if it's always there. So it's on you. And that's the last part. Understand, your anger is on you. No one controls you. No one. Right? No one. If I don't physically put my hands on you and drag you this way, I can't control shit. I can't control anything that happens to you. If I don't physically grab you and take you over here, I can't control you. You control what you say. You control how you behave. You control what's coming out your mouth. You control if you punch that person in the face. You control if you curse out your boss. You control if you slap your girl. You control if you curse out your boyfriend. You control all of that stuff. But it doesn't feel like we can control it because we're so quick to react. Let's take a step back, hit that fast forward button so we don't react. Sometimes reacting could be the worst thing we could possibly do, because we're going to react 5 minutes later, we're going to be like, fuck, I shouldn't have done this. Then you're going to regret that situation, that moment, a month from later, a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now. There are still certain things that have went on in my life that I regret because I just reacted without just thinking things through, right? I remember when I spit on a cop. Everything that happened after that, I regret it. And I still regret it and be like, damn, I should never done that. But if I would have sat back and just and thought about like, yo, if I spit on this police officer, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. And I don't want none of that stuff to happen. I would have, which is nasty, but I would have swallowed that Louis at that moment. But my old want to be tough and I'm angry, head ass, I'm finna cough up the biggest loogie spitting on you just because I'm pissed off. Just because I want to react. Just because I don't have any control over my impulses. And we are always so quick to say that I can't control my anger and blah, blah, blah. Stop trying to control your anger. Stop. It's not being angry that's the issue. The emotion isn't the issue. It's how you utilize that emotion, right? Because there are some people who get very, very happy and they just But there are also certain people who get very, very sad and they just throw it to the side. They don't allow that sadness or that happiness to get the best of them. Sometimes they use that sadness as motivation. Sometimes they use that happiness as a way to stay down. Sometimes certain people use the anger as a way to keep pushing. But other times we use that anger as a way to get back at you. We use something as a means to an end. Figure out how you're utilizing that anger, how you're utilizing your happiness, how are you utilizing any type of emotion. Because our relationship to that actual emotion was causing us to act a damn fool. Right? So understand that, y'all. Understand that. So when it comes to releasing or figuring out ways to release that anger, that built up anger, the very, very last thing I need you all to do is to ask yourself, what's the real reason why you're pissed off? The real reason why you're mad, right? After you've done everything, after you identified it and talked it out and released it and let it go, take a step back, reevaluate that whole situation and ask yourself, was I really mad at you? Was I really mad at that situation? Or was I pissed off at something else? 9.99999 times out of 10, you're pissed off at something else. You're pissed off because you can't control the situation. You're pissed off because of something that happened a year ago. You're pissed off because you have your own personal insecurities and that person may be calling you out on your insecurities. You're pissed off because your ego or your pride has been touched a little bit. You're pissed off because of all of these other things. What's the real reason you're pissed off at? Because 9 times out of 10, you're not pissed off at that emotion or at that problem, right? So when it comes to all of that stuff, identify it, talk it out, release it, get angry. But the last thing you got to do is ask yourself, what are you really mad at? You don't have to do it all in that specific order. But I highly suggest that you identify that anger first before you move on to anything. Because if you don't identify why you were mad, you are never going to be over it. Never going to be able to get over it. Never going to be able to get through it. So, moving on forward into the last subject, whatever it is, I always like to leave a question for you all. And as always, I don't come up with the question. Before. I come up with the question midway because I like to allow the conversation or the topic or the energy of it to actually give me the question, right? And the one question I have is this, right? We have to understand that everything in this world is temporary. Everything in this world is temporary. The anger is temporary. Me living is temporary. The air and the oxygen within this room is temporary, right? Someday, this building and this radio station is going to cease to exist. Whether it's 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, it's going to die out. Everything is temporary. However, we allow those temporary things to last forever. The key word in that situation is we allow those temporary things to last forever. So my question to you all is what are you allowing to last forever? What are you allowing to last forever? Right? What are you allowing to last forever? Because we all have full control over what is in our life. We all have full control over how temporary it is. We all have full control over how long it stays and how soon we will let it go. We have full control over that. And if nobody has ever told you this, you have more power over your life than you ever thought. You have all of the power over your life, no matter how ridiculous it is, no matter how fucked up your situation it is. Right? Last week, I seen two fucked up situations. Last week, I seen a very, very psychotic individual who has no train of thought, who cannot think for himself at all. And he was angry and pissed and saying he has no control over his mind. But within that same week, I seen another individual with no limbs, no arms, no legs, just a torso. And he's happy, cracking jokes, talking shit, doing all of that stuff. Themselves, they are still in control over their situation because they have I don't know about the psychotic patient like that, but that individual who has no control over, that individual who has no legs, no limbs, just a torso. He's not allowing his anger and his sadness and all that other stuff to last forever. No. He's figuring out how to utilize that emotion in order to be happy. Even though his situation is fucked, he figured out how to allow that. He figured out how to use that negative situation and turn it into something positive. Right? So figure it out. What are you allowing to last forever? What temporary feeling, what temporary problem, what temporary person are you allowing to last forever within your life? Because everything is temporary and anything could be taken away in 0.5 seconds. Like this whole building could just crash, or this something could just come and just bomb, and this whole show will be over in 2 seconds. My girl Aditya looked at me like, really, what the fuck? But that's the truth. We don't know when it's going to end. Anything can last forever. So whatever is on your mind that you're allowing to last forever, cut it out. Look at your relationship to that. Make it as temporary as possible. As always, man, thank you to those individuals who are listening. Banana, I miss you too, girl, man. I appreciate the fact that you love this, man. I also cannot stand when people don't get angry, like when they shut down and ignore you. Shoot, Banana is like one of my closest friends. I've known her since I was like damn near 10 years old. And I'm pretty sure there's been plenty of times where I was pissed at her and I just did not say anything. I've done that to my girl a few times before in the past. Sorry. I've done that to my girl a few times before in the past. I've done that to just friends. I've done that to just people in general. I've done that to homeboys. I just hold it in, just not let it happen. Especially with guys. We feel like if we let it go, it's gonna lead to a fight. And I don't feel like fighting right now, so I'm gonna just not say anything. And then we figure out that like, it's been a week later, so I ain't finna bring it up. Because they're going to look at me like, well, why are you still holding on to this shit? And blah, 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 blah. And that's a legit question. Why am I holding on to this? So I just ignore it. And I shut down. And that's something that I'm learning how to do. How to talk. Because whenever I don't talk, the first thing that's popping up in my head is like, Willis, the second you talk is the second you start sounding like a bitch. The second you talk, Willis, is the second you start sounding like a bitch. And that's one of those internal demons, one of those internal monologues that I always have to have on myself and I always have to conquer, right? Because it's not the fact that I'm a bitch when I talk, because you're not. It's easy to just not talk. It's easy to put the stuff in. It takes a strong person to actually talk things through. It takes a strong person to actually be vulnerable. It takes a strong person to process your feelings. And like I said earlier, you do not have to process it with someone directly. Process it with yourself. And a lot of the times I don't even process it with myself. I just block it out. I am like the king at just blocking anything out. But it's going to come out in some way, some form, however it may be. It'll come out. And though that's definitely one thing that I am thoroughly working on every single day. I hope you're working on that. I hope everyone else is working on that. Because ignoring it, shutting down, and just not talking about it ain't going to do shit but make it worse. And you're going to process it through a bunch of different ways. And that can be through you being mad, you cursing a person out, you whatever it is, it's going to come out. It's going to come out. So monitor that, right? As always, thank you for those individuals who are tuning in. Thank you for those individuals who have tuned in midway through the show. Thank you for those individuals who will tune in to the show tomorrow, later on tonight, next week, next month, next year, and even more so. Good looking. To those individuals who have not tuned in at all and probably will not tune in at all, man. You probably haven't caught on to it yet, but you will catch on to it eventually. Eventually. And as always, man, my name is Willis Cooks. This is Chill World Radio. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Understand this and always, and never forget this. Ain't no wealth without your mental health. So please stay blessed and take care of yourself. Be great, y'all. Peace.